Hello there, and welcome to MATHurdays. My name is Teresa Wills. I'm an assistant professor at George Mason University in the Mathematics Education Leadership Department. Um, and I've been teaching online for a decade. Glad to see there are so many familiar faces and also new faces here. One of the nice things about the MATHurdays community is whether you have attended 15 or 30 sessions or this is your first one, you'll find that the community and the network that you get from here is very positive and inclusive. So glad to have you here. Today we're going to be working within Google Slides. So what that means is you're going to need the link to the slides, and this is the main real estate of our page. You'll tab over to this teleconferencing program whenever you want to turn on your microphone or maybe type in a chat box, but the primary use will be in the Google Slides there. And you'll notice on slide one, I have contact information if you'd like to get in touch with me. I'm always happy to hear from teachers, especially successes that are happening. And I'm going to continue to spam your chat box with that link for any new folks who are coming in. If you head down to slide two, I just wanted to point out a couple of links that you might want to bookmark. One of them is the templates. I've gotten more ideas of things that people want in the templates, so I'm happy to make more of these. You'll notice that they are relatively blank, and that is so that the students are the ones showing their thinking in the boxes, and not me just providing it. So there's lots of math ones and lots of other ones as well. The second link is to the MATHurdays website where I keep all of the recordings of these up there. We're up to 33 different tasks and an accompanying routine. So if you're looking for more tasks and how to teach them online, check out that link. And then if you hop on down to slide 3 or 4, I'd love for you to be able to put in a text box and tell us a success or a celebration that's happening in your math or personal lives. And you're not limited to text. Oh, that's all right. If someone just hit the delete button, this is a perfect opportunity to show what to do here. Press Control Z, and those slides will come right back up. And if not, I'll bring in my backup. So if you think that you accidentally hit delete, no biggie. Hold down the Control button and tap Z, and that will do an undo. And I'll show what I do in case that happens. I've got my template, and I'll bring that back in. So no worries if that was you. I always like to show how to undo things at the beginning. Alrighty. So come on down to slide 3 and 4 and share with us a success or celebration. You're welcome to use text. You're also welcome to add images, and I'm going to re-add my image here now. I like to upload mine right from my images section. And the image I added is a day in the life of an online learner. This is what my daughter's class looked like right before break. She's got a lot of clay there, but she's also got her whiteboard where she, grouped some numbers for some multiplication. She's a second grader, and there's a lot going on in my house during online learning. Let's see what some other people have. Somebody said they had a great PLO using math with Jamboard. I invite you to turn on your microphone and tell us a little bit more. What happened? What tips do you have for the rest of us?
Hi, my name's Kathy and I'm from California. I don't know that I have tips for it. We're showing teachers how to use Jamboard, as specifically sharing it for with their students. With COVID and the time crunch, many of them have kind of stopped using number sense routine. And so we were showing them how to use clothesline math with Jamboard, and a lot of teachers were excited. We shared images with them so that they could quickly make their own Jamboards so that they could use them the next day.
How lovely. I know some of you all are familiar with it. I also want to put a little plug here. If you're interested in doing math routines, I've got several that talk about how to do them in the online classroom. They're up on my website, and I just put the link there in the chat box. So I hope that resource is useful for some of you.
And actually, I did share a couple of your templates with them so that they could see how easy it was to continue to do number sense routines, that it wasn't going to take them forever and eat up all of their time. So thank you so much.
Sure thing. I think that's one of the important things about teaching teachers about online learning is what can you do that you've already been doing and just do a little tweak to it instead of like redoing, gosh, everything you have been doing. Let's see, somebody wrote a poem that they're proud of. Are you a regular poetry writer? Can I ask what it was about?
Hi, this is Stephanie and I'm from Fairfax, Virginia. Yeah, so I had went through something kind of personal recently, and it was not I, for I just kind of got really upset about it yesterday randomly. Like it didn't really bother me until yesterday, I guess, that just keeping busy and stuff like that. Um But yeah, like I shared it with some friends and they were like, wow, like this is really powerful. Usually when something bothers me and I don't really know what to, like how to say it into my own words, I write it down into poetry and then it comes out like really awesome. But if I just try and sit and write poetry, it doesn't come out as well. Like it has to be kind of a, I don't want to say outstanding event happening in my life, but basically that. So.
I'm glad you're able to find some peace and happiness there with poetry. Let's see, Joanne, tell us about, you've got such a simple picture, but it brings so much joy to me to see. How was your math night for K and 1? Joanne's picture's on slide 4 there.
Hi, it was a lot of fun. So we created these bags to send home. Our students are all in distance learning right now. So in the bag, they had the paper. We made the splats, sent home counters and numbers and a pencil. And so then virtually we did splat together. We did number activities where I want this many. I wish I had this many, like using our fingers to show that. And so it was just really fun to engage. Normally we would invite them in, but we're not able to do that. So that was our K1. And then next week I have a second grade one. And then in February, I'll be doing one with the tiny polka dots.
Ooh, very cool. The tiny polka dots are so fun. If you haven't checked them out, definitely do. All right, folks, so let's jump right in. I always model the same thing on MATHurdays. It's a 1-hour math block. We start off with a little bit of community building. It breaks the ice and makes it so that we're more comfortable talking to each other when we're in small groups. Then we jump into a math routine. I try not to create anything new, instead use established math routines that are out there in the Math community. Today's math routine is Convince Me That, and there's some links for you on slide 5. There are hundreds of pre-made Convince Me's That, so less work for you, more learning for the kids. And then the last 40 minutes, we work on a rich mathematical task. So let's jump right into the math block here. This is Convince Me That. And what's going to happen is everyone's going to start off with their very own slide. You'll notice there are lots and lots of slides below. And when you type your name in the yellow box, you're kind of reserving that as yours. So slide 8, for example, Lisa has reserved that. So go ahead and find a slide, put your name on it. Oh, Raha, I'm so excited to hear that your kids are obsessed with this. This is awesome. And you're going to use the manipulatives. There's even a number line at the bottom. You can use a text box. You can use whatever you want to convince me that 5 divided by 1/2 is greater than 5. Whenever you want more ideas, check out other people's slides. It is not cheating in this class to check other people's slides. It's inferring what they're thinking. And you can even drag those little emojis or copy those emojis over to their thinking to show that you have a connection with them. Mary, to get to the slides, you'll click this link here. And currently slide 12 is available. Let's see, there's more. Slide 21 is available, 22, 23, and 24, and 25. And down in the 30s, there's more. If you're just joining us, welcome. We are already into our math routine. Here's the link to the Google Slides, and you're finding yourself an available slide in the teens and 20s, and you're going to convince me that 5 divided by a half is greater than 5. At this point, if you have an idea on your page, take a moment and look at some of the others. And if you find that you're, gosh, still thinking about that, you're not quite sure, it's a great place to put the still thinking emoji. You can just drag it over. If you love their way, show them with the I love this emoji. One thing that I like to do in online learning is allow students to be the owner of their learning. So at this point, we're going to have several things happening. You might still be working on your own slide where you're creating your own representation, and that's fine. You can continue. You might be browsing others through an emoji gallery walk, and that's fine. You can continue. Or you might be on the same slide as us. I'm going to call on a couple people. You might choose to look at their slide, and they're going to fill up the airspace with talking. That's going to continue to get our thinking rolling. And I'd love to start off with Naomi. It's on slide 6. And can you tell me how you thought about this problem?
So I was saying that when I take 5, what I'm doing is I'm looking for how many halves there are in 5. And what I found that there were 10 halves in the 5. So therefore, thinking about that, if I think about the 10 separate from the halves, 10 is greater than 5. Or when you divide 5 divided by a half, you get a 10, and 10 is greater than 5.
I love the way you said that. There's 10 halves in 5. Um, and there's definitely some numbers that I see in your model. I see the number 5, there's 5 circles. I see 10, there's 10 semicircles. I see 1/2 with it cut, but I also see the number 2. I see 2 pieces in a hole.
Yeah, because I was thinking that, when you think about how many halves are in a number, it's going to always be double that number. When it's, whole number is easy to think about it.
So
And if it was thirds, it would be triple the number. If it was fifths, it would be 5 times that.
So Naomi, that's actually going to be the topic of today. I'm going to put that in the chat box for us to think about. When thinking about a half, it is double. And I want to keep coming back to that, and it's a really cool connection. I'd also like to check out Kathy's on slide 9. Kathy, would you tell us a little bit about your thinking? Because I don't see any circles on your slide.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yes, I work with upper grades, and so we work a lot on number lines. And so the way I worked with it was to see what is the distance in halves. So I just grouped them by halves to show that there would be 10 jumps that were the distance of 1/2 between 0 and 5.
I can definitely see that connection. Very cool. Gail had a really cool problem that she wrote on slide 13. Gail, can you tell us how you thought about this?
I was thinking about, taking a walk, and halfway we'd gone 5 miles. That halfway point and the 5 miles would mean that the whole trail would be 10 miles long.
Interesting. I love the way we look at things through an area model and then these distance models. If I were to continue this math routine, obviously I could spend all day taking these apart, but I do want to keep the math routine short. And so I want to leave this little nugget of slightly wonderment, slightly making new connections, and then we would come back tomorrow and we would compare Gail and Kathy's model and what they might look like. And then we'd even bring in some more. So just by doing this one routine, I actually now have a week's worth of routines to do because every day we can come back to it and bring up somebody else's model and use that to convince me. So all you need to do is make one slide and you have the materials for a whole week for doing Convince Me That. All right, let's jump down to our math task for today. Before I do, on slide 33, if you're interested in the protocol that I used for this, some people want to know, like, what are the steps? I made sure I assigned everyone a slide. They had the opportunity to move things around, to comment with emojis, and to share out loud. And we're into our rich task. On slide 34, if you are someone who loves to connect research to why we do what we do in the classroom, these are the 8 math teaching practices from NCTM. And the cool thing about rich tasks is you see all 8 of these front and center in the rich task. So let's get started. The problem solving oath is on slide 35. As I read it out loud, you read it to yourself, and you can put your name in the chat box if you want to pledge this oath today. I, Teresa, promise to try my best. I will make sense of patterns and numbers. I will use manipulatives and drawings. I will make mistakes. I will ask questions. I will listen to other ideas. I will stay engaged by always finding a solution or representation. I am a problem solver. I make the world a better place. I already see some great problem solvers typing their name in the chat box. That's how you say publicly that I'm willing to take this oath today. And our task is on slide 36. It says that Camille picked 7/8 of a pound of blueberries. If one serving is a quarter pound, how many servings of blueberries did she pick? If you would like the extra challenge, I have challenged you all today to make sense using many models. Traditional notation with numbers and symbols, area model, set model, number line model, invented drawing, or even actual blueberries. So that's your challenge. Slide 37 are some virtual manipulatives that I personally think are really good to solve this, but you're not limited to these. Feel free to use any virtual or physical manipulative you like. And the slides below are where you're going to show as many representations as you can based on what group you're in. I'm going to go ahead and create the breakout rooms now. Many people have attended these sessions and can help you know like what group you're in. If you need some support with that, I'll also come in and make sure everyone's comfortable knowing what group they're in. So let's go ahead and get started. Our breakout rooms are starting now. Turn on your mics and say hello.
Hello, I'm Angela.
Hi, I'm Stephanie.
I'm Julia.
So I think we're on, so for group 4, we are slide 41.
Okay.
It says group 3.
Okay, so I'm in group 3. Okay.
And then it looks like we're on slide 40.
Okay.
Yeah.
Group 3. Let's see. Okay. Group 1 and then group. There we are, right there. Thank you for typing our names.
Oh, no problem. Yes, thank you. That's very nice of you. So I have one that I missed. Let me see.
MINTZU.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, let's
7, 8 pounds.
Okay, let me see what I want to try.
Yeah.
Hello, group 5. I'm curious, who is the person who highlighted on the word problem and why did you choose to do that?
Hi, that was me. So I teach third grade, and so I always teach them to start with highlighting, the important key things. So for me, like, especially with fractions, that's one of my areas I'm not strongest in. So I wanted to know, okay, the pound of blueberries, and then how much was one serving and how many servings there were.
Very cool. And I like how you put that kind of quarter pound equals 1/4. I do enjoy putting the words of fractions in there, and it's fun to see the way that people interpret that.
I'm not.
No, it's okay. That's what we're all here for. We're all in a learning space, and It's amazing. It's amazing. No, it's okay. So
Because
that's why I think sometimes having a big screen is nice because you can put both of them together. That was good. That was a good idea, Raha, to share the screen. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
So you guys basically you're enrolled in this class twice, once so you can see the screen and once so you can see so you can access it. No?
No. You know how sometimes you'll have two windows open? You know, sometimes you'll have like a window open and then
I'll take this is the only way I know how. I take pictures, I put them on my desktop, and I drag them back into our slide. That's the only way I've figured out to do this.
Oh.
So y'all are going to probably doing this.
Hi, Lisa. Is that you that I heard doing the picture to your desktop?
Yes, that's the only way I know how to get pictures back into the slides. And so it's like, I'm stuck on that. I'm going to keep doing it.
Oh.
Yeah. What kind of computer do you use? A Mac, a PC, or a Chromebook?
A Mac.
You're a Mac.
A Mac.
So let's see, your group 2. I put this little kind of shortcut
this
thing.
is what I've always done. So
I'm going to just
It
kind
works.
of highlight here in red off to the side. There's this little link. And if you
okay.
hold down the command button, the shift button, and the number 3, it's going to give you this little like snipping tool. And whatever you highlight, it like copies to your clipboard. So then on your slide, all you have to do is hit paste.
Okay. And I don't even know where my clipboard is because I've never
Oh, you don't even need to see it. It's kind of like this
Let me tell you
ambiguous cloud out there.
I'm learning stuff. It's the big what?
So if you want to try it, hold down Command and Shift and then tap the number 3.
3, and then, you heard it. I mean, it took the whole picture.
And now on your slide, go to Edit Paste or Command V, whatever you do to paste.
Okay, let me go back to my slide. Oh, I'm on the wrong slide. Here we go. Command V. Okay, I'm not seeing it anywhere.
It looks like...
Yeah, I always use Command Shift 4.
Oh, maybe that was it. You know what? I'm not a Mac user. I kind of get these tips from other people. So I will go back to my Mac people and be like, hey, what did Command Shift 3 do again? And make sure that I get that for you because it's such a time saver when you can do those.
I think
cool. Yeah, I'm going to keep doing what I know how to do.
Sounds good.
Okay, I'm going to just take a picture real quick and see, and I can always stop it. So I'll go back to where it was. But
So
that's fine. Yeah, I get it.
They don't have the technology skills, and I'm working on, I'm going to have to teach them how do you share a screen on your computer when you only have a tiny little screen. But
yeah, it's crazy.
This is okay.
Hi, Mary.
You're good.
I heard a question that I frequently hear with online learning. And Mary, if you're interested, on slide 47, I have some videos about frequently asked questions. And one frequently asked question is like, how do my students navigate the Google Slides and the teleconferencing tool at the same time? And I'm even going to put a little arrow there so you can see, but on slide 47, there's a video that addresses this very thing. You can show it to your students too. Let me see if I can find it. And sometimes
I actually just put it up. Yeah. Now that I'm good at this now.
Yay.
I feel like, okay, totally get Google Slides enough that I can be like, oh yeah, okay. So
I will say that I teach SPED inclusion as well, but they're just inclusive kids, so I don't know the disabilities, students with disability that you work with. I don't know how severe they are, but it did take a little bit of time, but when they get the hang of it, they really do love Google Slides, and they, like, it becomes more of their ownership, and they can be a little bit more creative. So I would say patience works in the beginning, but eventually they're like rocking it. They're better at it than I am.
Yeah, I love it because I was doing journal with my kids, and then at least remotely I could see where they're at. And I like this because you can see where they're at. So you can say, hey, I'm not in it. And I was like, well, yeah, you are. You're in Ocho Cinco's slide and you're erasing his work. So can you go to your work and do it? So it's funny. I like it because you can see where.
Move you down. Move you down. Move you down. Okay, move you back this way.
If you're watching the recording of this, I'm doing some very purposeful things right now. I'm selecting several representations that I would like to present in the math talk. And what I'm doing is I'm just kind of copying and pasting those representations as I see them. And one thing that I really love is the ability to kind of show a before and after, or the rough draft thinking before it's even done. So I make sure that I copy things early on. And so like this one here, they haven't finished writing what that last arrow is, and I want to capture it before they do because it's important to me that we think about the leftover amount.
Did you get it?
Yeah, well, I'm doing what I thought I wanted to do. I have no idea that that's really what I need to be doing, but it's colorful. And
No worries.
for a
Sometimes
Saturday
taking a risk.
afternoon, that's good enough. Yeah,
There you
here
go. Yeah.
we go. Okay, now I want to, I guess I have to take a screenshot of this, right?
Yeah, I mean, that way we can, that way, or you can share your screen in BBC, like either way, however works for you.
Oh, great. Hold on.
Oh,
Did you get it to work? Yay! That's amazing.
No,
Did you get this?
Why can't it go back? Ah, now it's gone.
Oh no. You have to be patient with yourself. That's what I told the kids. It's okay. You're taking a risk trying something new. It happens.
It happens. Oh, well.
Yeah.
I don't even understand. Well, there we go. Can I control C this? Probably not. No.
You can share, you can share your screen in BBCU and I can try to take a screenshot of your screen in BBCU if that works. I don't know if that's harder or easier.
That's not the problem. The problem is my whole thing disappeared because all of a sudden it disappeared. So how much time do we have at this?
I think about usually it's like 12:40, so we have a couple more minutes. We have some time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, I like the fraction circles that I don't know who dropped those in. Those look great.
yeah.
If you drop those in, I'd love to hear.
I finally got it to work.
Yay! So what was your thinking behind them?
I just wanted to take the same size, I guess, and illustrate the 1/4 of a pound and how much of the circle it would be, and then how many we could get, and just rotate those around. I was trying to find a draw tool that I could have colored within the circle, but
oh, I see. I like how like you did with like the pencil, like the fourth, like within the 7/8, like you can almost like, I think about it like it's a different way of seeing. So I did the fraction bars like right next to it. And I like that there's like a clear, like I can see that we both had the same thinking. We just represented it differently.
right. I like how is this Teresa I'm talking to, or?
Oh, I'm Laura.
Laura,
I'm not Teresa.
When you're using
best compliment ever, though.
Do you find that over time your students get really comfortable with the manipulatives, and so they can use different tools in new
So
ways?
I'll be honest. I work with fourth graders, and they are capable of so many things. They're such amazing, resilient kids. But I can't introduce too many things to them at one time. So we haven't really ventured out into virtual manipulatives on other sites. What I usually do is I will pre-make pictures of like fraction bars, or I'll drop like shapes for them, and then they manipulate it on the slide, or they upload selfies of their work. Like they'll solve it on paper pencil and they'll add in pictures. Hopefully by the end of this next quarter, we'll start to feel more comfortable with like exploring sites, like having a tab open like on a different manipulative website.
Right now I'm teaching in a prison, so we're teaching our guys still one-on-one. We're not teaching virtually. So I'm learning a lot just watching you do this.
Oh, wow.
We never have gone to virtual teaching.
Also a very interesting position that you hold.
App do you use?
So I use that. It's in Math Playground. So, but now that I look at it closely, I see it. Oh shoot! Now I see how I could have done it. Let's see if I can do it real quick. Fix that.
You could just make a blue square and put it on top with 1/8 in it. Just slap it on top.
Here, if I do.
All right, if you're watching this from a distance, you'll notice that now I'm in the main room. It's 2 minutes before the big performance of the math discussion. And one of the things I want to do is make sure that I am in a very good place. So I give myself these 2 minutes to myself. I check the slides. First, I want to talk about where is one whole located so that we can see that we are less than a whole. Some of these images show the complete whole, some of them show only part of it, and the importance or non-importance of seeing the entire whole. And then I want to get into the what is the leftover. Sometimes students find the leftover to be 1/8, 1/2, 1/4, and or just one piece. And so I want them to be able to describe the leftover. Then there are two that I really like. I frequently call these my math boyfriend. Have you ever had the situation where it's not necessarily appropriate to bring your boyfriend to something, but you want to kind of show him off? You're so proud. You're like, oh, I love my boyfriend. I want to bring him everywhere. But maybe if it's a parent-teacher conference, it's not the right time to be like, hey, this is my boyfriend. So the same thing here. There are two really cool ones that I want to bring up in the math talk, and so I'm going to showcase them, but they're not quite where I want the conversation. They kind of go to day 2 or the next day. So I'm going to show what it is to hold back and not show everything, even though it's so cool and I really want to, because I want to stick to these two topics on slide 48 and 49. So we'll see if I can actually do that, but that's kind of a little bit what goes on in my head.
Won't be.
Welcome back, everyone. We are all back together in the main room. Hello and welcome back. And before we jump into our math discussion, I'd love us to take a moment and just look at all the different representations that this group of 23 people did in 20 minutes. And it's pretty inspiring to see that, not only were there great conversations happening, but there's so much evidence on the screen of rich learning and, thinking about what it is that we're doing here. So go ahead and take that moment. Look at all these really neat ways of doing it. And I had a pretty tricky job today of selecting just a couple to talk about in our whole group discussion. You might be aware of, and if not, on slide 47, I have a screen capture of how I model discussions in math classes. I use Smith & Stein's 5 practices, where I've already anticipated some different ways students might think about this problem, misconceptions, and the visual tools that they will use to show their work on the screen. I monitored by popping into the different breakout rooms, maybe asking you a question about this or just kind of checking in. I selected just a few based on the questions I want to address, sequenced them in a purposeful order, and now we're going to connect them. As teachers, you might be interested in like what all is going on in my mind. We'll come to these later also, but slide 52 are the major concepts that I wanted to address today. So these are leading which ones I select and which ones I, sequence in there. I really want to get to some of these ideas. So let's see if I can do it. Let's start off on slide 48. And I'm going to give everyone a minute of think time. The question is, there's 3 representations. Where is 1 pound located in each representation? When you can see it in the orange, the yellow, and the pink, go ahead and raise your hand and collaborate. The button is right next to the microphone. Raise your hand when you can see where 1 pound is located. I see 6 good thinkers already. Again, the hand up button is next to the microphone. Can you see where 1 pound is located? And we'll start with Susie. Susie, pick a color and tell me where you see the 1 pound.
Sorry, Teresa, we're still on slide 48, right?
Yeah, can you pick one of those colors and tell us, like, where do you visualize the 1 pound?
So I think I'm looking at the pink.
Okay.
And the 1 pound is just the column, 1 column.
Ah, so you see it as the whole column. I like that. Very cool. Let's see, other people with their hands up. Martha, would you like to pick orange or yellow and tell us how you visualize 1 pound? And Martha, the microphone is, you have to go back over to the teleconferencing tool to be able to turn that on. There you go.
Can you hear me?
Sure can.
Okay, sorry. So I'm looking at the yellow and I'm looking at the blue fraction strips on the bottom, and I see there's 7 1/8 and then there's a white 1/8, and together they make 8/8, which makes the pound.
So am I interpreting it right that you see it as kind of a horizontal strip, or do you see it a different way?
Yeah, I'm looking from left to right.
Very cool. All right, so I can see 1 pound as a column, 1 pound as a strip or a row. And Laura, the last one there is orange. How do you see 1 pound here? Laura, I see your mic on, but I'm not hearing you.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, now we can.
Okay, perfect. So in the orange model, the person, I can see that they chose 8 as their denominator in the number line. So even though they didn't, like, you can't see 8 eighths, in the choice of 8 as the denominator, I can tell that, like, that's where the pound is, that they're using that 8 eighths as their whole unit of the pound.
And Laura, I have a little arrow off the side of the screen. I'm going to make it orange. Can you drag that to where you think this 8/8 would be?
Sure.
So Laura brought up a really neat thing, like it's not here. So where do we find it? And it is off to the edge. So my question for everyone now, this is going to go in the chat box, is do we need to see the whole or the 1 pound in order to solve this problem? Put your reasoning in the chat box and I'll put it down here. Do you need to see the whole or 1 pound to solve this problem? So you're going to write that in the chat box. We're going to hopefully see a lot of different perspectives on this. And Lisa, I'd love to hear from you. You bring the perspective of people who want to see the whole. Why might it be important to see the whole? Lisa, if you do find your mic, I'd love to hear a little bit more about why you would support that whole. There you go.
Okay. I said for junior high kids that I teach, a lot of them will know properly to divide and they'll be fine without it. But I think especially for younger kids and weaker students, seeing that whole, like in this bottom picture with the blue 1/8 and the green 1/4, they can see that comparison and they can see that, oh, it's exactly 3.5 servings as opposed to a different value. Just think it visually, it helps them see it better.
And so now we're getting into this idea of 3.5. And you might look at these and wonder, how do I see 3.5 in each of them? And do I need to see the whole? There was another one in here I'd love to hear from. Raha, you mentioned something. They're both part numbers. What do you mean by a part number? And, why or why not need to see the whole?
So we're using 1/4 and 1/8, which is less than 0. So that means it's irrational numbers or part numbers. So if we're comparing two part numbers, we don't necessarily have to see the whole. But for someone who's trying to compare two different part numbers, they have to know that the whole has to be consistent. So some people might want to see that whole to see, like, I didn't change the size of the whole. I'm just looking at different parts of the part number.
So there's a lot of really rich mathematics going in there. You're talking about, do we need to redefine what the whole is? Do we need to look at numbers that are less than the whole or less than 1 in this case? Do we need to see it all? I love that conversation. So let's think about that 3.5 that we heard other people say. On slide 49, I'm curious of how you see the leftover. And for some people, this is going to be a written response. I see the leftover because it is something, or the leftover is just a number. And I invite you to do what's called a chat waterfall. We're all going to write our thinking in the chat box, but not hit enter. That way, when I say go, we'll get tons of thoughts coming in all at once. So looking at slide 49, the question is, what is the leftover? I invite you as educators to share both correct solutions and incorrect solutions, but with reasoning behind it. So what is the leftover in these examples? You can respond with blue, orange, purple, or red if you're referring to just one of them. I'll give you a minute to start typing in the chat box. All right, let's get our first round of chat waterfalls in. You can go ahead and hit enter. But if you're still writing, keep writing and then hit enter when you have something. What this does classroom management wise is it allows me to kind of support students in gaining confidence using the microphone or having a voice, because they can now get lost in the waterfall. They're not really put on the spot, and they're also not rushing to get something in there. And I can browse these and decide who it is that I'd like to call on to talk a little bit about this. And Gail, you mentioned here this 1/8 of a pound of blueberries left over, half a serving remaining after 3. Could you tell us a little bit more? I see 3 numbers here, 1/8, 1/2, and 3, and how you see it in one of these models? And Gail, if you are able to get your microphone on, we'd love to hear from you. No worries if not. Oh, there you go.
Okay, I thought it was. The 7/8 blueberries are colored in blue. They've marked off 3 servings, quarter-pound servings with the ovals.
All right, so we have our...
And then they have...
Yep.
Yeah. At the bottom right, they have one more piece of blueberries left that is 1/8 of a pound. Yep, that arrow. And that would be 1/2 of a serving.
So that arrow kind of represents 2 fractions. What was the 1/8
yes,
again?
1/8 of a pound of blueberries and 1/2 of a serving.
Neat. And so units here are really important. It allows us to see how they're connected there. Other people wrote this. Mary, you mentioned 1/2 of 1/4. Can you tell us which color model are you talking about, and how do you see that?
Can you hear me?
We sure can.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. I think I was looking at either the aqua one or the one we just talked about, because you have the leftover is this, like she just mentioned, it's the piece that doesn't fit an 1/8 or a 1/4. I mean, the 7/8 or the 1/4. So it's no, not the white part, the green part.
Ah, thank you.
Yeah, because the white part in the red and in the aqua boxes, it's shown, but it's not really there. It doesn't exist. Unpicked blueberries are not blueberries. They don't exist. They're unpicked. They're still on the bush. You know, it's that kind of thing. You have to just look at what's real, what's in your bucket. 7/8. How else can you represent 7/8? And so I love the 3 1/4, but you still have more blueberries left over. What are they? Well, they're 1/2 of a 1/4.
Neat. I'm going to put that comment in here. The 1/8 is 1/2 of a 1/4. And what's interesting, Mary, is you brought up a rationale for why I might not want to show the whole. I don't have a whole pound of blueberries in my bucket, which kind of brings us back to the, like, is it necessary to show the whole or not? So that was...
Yeah, I had said no when you had asked that question.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm sticking with it.
Yes, absolutely. And Jennifer, you bring up the 1/4 as being, or the 1/8 as being 1/2 as a 1/4. Did you see it the same way, or did you see it differently?
I did. When I was looking at the light blue box in the upper left-hand corner, and to me it was, looking at the 4ths there, you've got the full ones, but then I saw that white space. Again, is what was just said is I don't have that, but I've got half of that full fourth. And so that's what led me to the half of the fourth, which gave me the 1/8.
And I wonder if we can see that half of the 1/4 in the orange model or the purple model. Naomi, you put in there that you agree there's no need for 8/8. Well, the orange model doesn't have 8/8. Why do you think that we don't need it? Can you kind of talk us through how you see the orange model?
Because I really feel like the whole in this problem is really the 7/8. And the 8/8 is just paying attention to the idea of when we know we're talking about 8/8 makes a whole. But in this case, the whole to me is really 7/8. And what we're doing is we're dividing up the whole basket, which is only 7/8 of a pound. So I felt like that. And then, another thing that's really tricky for kids is this idea of that half that we described. Because in division of fractions, it's really half of whatever fractional amount of the dividend that's left over. And that's always a tricky piece for kids.
Indeed. Yes, I like how you bring up this, what is the whole? Raha, it sounds like you're making a connection here. How do you see the whole being important?
Earlier, when I was saying that we wanted to look at the whole, which is 8/8 and 4/4, but now we're changing our idea of like now 7/8 is the whole, and we're partitioning 7/8 into how many fourths, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And so folks in here, I hope that you were able to see a lot of different things. The purple model, the reason I chose that, I kind of thought somebody might mention repeated subtraction because it's like they started with one whole and then you can see underneath. That didn't come up, but I kind of was expecting that in the purple model. A couple other things that I mentioned in the recording is slide 50 and 51. I loved these representations. They were so neat, but they were a bit more complex than the conversation that I was hoping that we would have during the math talk. So one of the reasons I put them here is just to show you the restraint sometimes that it takes when you find a really cool representation, but you're like, I gotta stay focused with the discussion I have planned for the grade level that I'm working with. And so I hope that by showing this, I can inspire people to, even when you see things you love, hold on to them for another day or another week or another unit when it makes sense for your math conversation. So today, our topics were on slide 52. We started off talking about fractions, how dividing dividing by half is like multiplying by 2. I believe it was Naomi who said that early on, and that's something that we saw throughout. We saw some of this as repeated addition, and I also wanted to talk about the leftover. Is it 1/2? Is it 1/8? And is it 1? And I think that we did that in our discussions. Let's see, I just had it also. I have frequently asked questions on slide 54 that might be useful for many of you all. And I'm starting to make these into GIFs. The nice thing about GIFs is that on slide 55, you can just insert these into your slideshows, and it's a quick reminder to kids about how to do a quick task. If you think of other things that you want in GIF format, I've got a little bit of time available in January, and I'm happy to do the work so that you can just pop those in when needed. And on slide 56 is the next MATHurdays topic is linear functions. It's going to be aimed towards Algebra 1 students, but I'm going to make it applicable for something that even 4th graders can do, which is pattern recognition and figuring out like what would come next in the pattern. So this task would really be aimed for 4th grade through Algebra 1. At this point, it's the top of the hour. Thanks so much for joining me. The virtual parking lot is on slide 57. If you didn't write in previously topics you want to hear and see, please put them in here. And I'd love to know your topic, your grade. If you put your Twitter handle in, I'll make sure I note that like, thanks so-and-so for this topic. And these will be posted on the MATHurdays website. So thanks for coming and joining me for the hour. hope to see you again. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to stay after and work with any questions you might have. All right, let's see. There's a question coming in. Somebody asked, do I use these with college level math students? I actually have more experience doing them with college level math students just because I don't have my own roster in the K-12 classroom. And so, yes, I absolutely do. I use this same structure with college students, whether they are learning differential equations or whether they're learning how to be a teacher. We always start off with a routine and then jump into a rich task. The difference is when there's less time, you need to make sure that the time you spend on the discussion is super focused. Um, so today I could have gone off in about 16 different tangents about the topic, but I really tried to stay closed in on do we need to see the whole, and also what does the leftover look like. When you have reduced time, it's really important to just stay on one topic and milk it for all it's worth rather than going into multiple topics because you're feeling stressed for time. Area, perimeter, and volume, I'd love to do. We have some already, but I would love to bring up some others in the future. So thanks for that recommendation. To make a GIF, I think I just Googled how to make a GIF. Turn an MP4 into a GIF. I mean, this is the program that I used. Whoops. GIFs are typically easier on bandwidth. And so if you have a whole video that plays, that takes up more bandwidth than having a GIF. So I do like using those. Do you know anyone who's doing what you're doing? Yeah, if you go to Esther Park's website, she's got a lot of ideas for language arts. But one of the things I love about language arts is when you're connecting literature, how much of that is discussion based. One thing I like to do with discussion based topics is give them accountability slides. So this is the website for my templates, and you'll probably notice some familiar ones like a KWL, a 321, or just places with blank spots, notice and wonders, if you're sequencing something that happened chapter by chapter. And so what these are the same things you would have done in the face-to-face classroom, but when students go into breakout rooms, it's not like they just talk. They also are filling out a slide, and that's the accountability part. Someone asked, how did I add in the Post-it note time reminder? Okay, this is kind of a little bit of a hack that's super easy. So I took a textbook and I said, time, come back at, and I might make it really bright and I might put it in the very center of the screen so it's really obvious. And all I did was Control C and Control V. So I copied that and I went into each slide. It just took a second and then paste. If you follow, oh, I'll think of it in just a minute. She does tons of online stuff. She makes some programs and little applets that will automatically insert it there. One of the things I try to do that's a little different is I don't use any Google extensions in any of my work because I know that some school systems computers don't allow you to use extensions. So I just do the copy and paste. But if you're interested in extensions, and someone feel free to help me out. I don't know why I can't remember. I'm going to open it up right. Yeah, Alice. Thank you, Raha. All right, let me put a link to her Twitter. So Alice Keller has lots and lots and lots, and she does applets. And one of the applets is posting something on all slides right away. Someone mentioned certificate. If you're interested in PD certificates, I definitely can send you one. Shoot me an email and I will send it back to your inbox. All right, folks, it's been a pleasure. Hope to see many of you all in future MATHurdays. The next one is on the 30th. I'm actually in a speaking engagement next weekend. And so it's available on Eventbrite. I'll put the link in the chat, but hope to see you there.